Most people would probably tell you that The Hangover reached its level of success just because of how funny it was. But this is only a small part of the equation. The Hangover has been the single greatest comedy movie event of the 21st century. When the movie came out, you literally could not go a day without hearing about the movie. And you simply do not reach that level of virality purely based on sense of humor alone. So I'm going to break down 5 reasons why The Hangover truly is special. And a lot of these reasons are things that you would honestly never actually think about. This first reason is just such a big one because you don't even have to be a fan of the sense of humor, the style of comedy that The Hangover employs. This movie on its own could stand alone as a mystery movie. The mystery in this movie is just so great. We really jump into it right in the beginning. They wake up and we have no idea what the hell happened last night. There's a chicken walking around in the room. There's a tiger in the bathroom, a human baby in the closet, and probably the biggest of all is that your best friend who's going to get married in 2 days is nowhere to be found. And along the way, we find out that Phil was in the hospital. Stu got married. There's a group of guys chasing them around with guns. And it's so great because we are trying to solve this mystery in real time because just like the characters, we have no idea what the hell happened either. And this movie really gets you on the edge of your seat in every single moment, trying to figure out what is going on. And this next reason really translates well because when this movie was made, Todd Phillips, who directed the movie, was working for Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers bought the script from Scott Moore and John Lucas, 2 of the better comedy movie writers of all time. I read that screenplay, the one they bought. The final shooting script was just so different in so many ways. And since we've been talking about mystery, let's start with that. In the original screenplay, Stu did not lose a tooth. Alan was the one that got married. No tiger, no baby, no Mike Tyson. The elements of mystery that were added are just so much more amplified and really tie together the overall mystery plot so much stronger. It wasn't just that, the level of care that was put into this script is so amazing. It's really miraculous what you can do when you have so many great comedic minds putting their fingerprint on the story. And not just comedic minds. These are also great dramatic writers as well. There are definitely different dynamics in play between the characters in the original screenplay. I think the biggest thing overall is that Alan in the original screenplay, like I mentioned that he got married. He's like a normal guy. He's not just completely stupid. He's got an average, probably even above average IQ. He works a normal job. He's in a long-term relationship. Like, the Alan that we saw on screen is nowhere to be found in the original screenplay. The comedy as well, inevitably, is just so much stronger in the screenplay. And, this will move well into point number 3 because this is the big elephant in the room. There's no escaping it. This movie is one of the funniest movies of all time. And how I mentioned this movie could stand alone as a mystery movie, this movie could stand alone as a comedy movie as well. If you're not into the mystery at all, which, it's pretty hard not to be, but say you just absolutely loathe mystery movies. I don't know who that would be, but let's just say that's the case. You will love this if you are a comedy movie lover. Like this, you are in heaven watching this movie. The movie has really everything you're looking for in a great comedy, from the one-liners to the great set pieces to just overall really strong visual comedy. And it starts funny, it ends funny, and everything in between is funny. Again, just the level of care that was put in to the overall humor of this movie is pretty astounding. And it really just goes to show, just moving into another layer of the creative process, just what you can really do when you have all of these great, talented people giving their all, and they're all coming together to make the same project with the same goal. Getting into point number 4 is just the overall performances in this movie. Just so absolutely mind-blowing. We'll start with the comedy, but it it doesn't end there. And that's really only part of the strength of the performances in this movie. Like the overall performance by Zach Galifianakis, I would say this is the strongest comedic performance of all time. Bradley Cooper, phenomenal. I mean, Ed Helms, Mike Tyson. Jeffrey Tambor, I think he is just so underrated. I mean, he's in this movie for like 5 to 10 minutes scattered throughout the movie, but I feel like every time he's on screen, he's so funny. With movies like this, so often you get into this scenario where there's just like one shining performance and no one else can really reach to that level, and things start feeling flat when either that character isn't on screen, that actor, or they're not the forefront of the scene. It's not their scene. But that's just never the case here. Like, everyone in this movie is so strong. Zach and Bradley put on Oscar-level performances, and everyone else just like put on some of the strongest, if not the strongest performance of their career as well. Maybe you have a few really strong performances, but they're standalone. Like, the focus is on them, they're great. When the focus is on someone else, they're great. But then when you mix two of them together, or three of them together, they just don't have the chemistry and something feels off. But the chemistry in this movie, holy shit, it's just one big explosion together. Like, they are so strong together. And it's funny because this movie was only shot in 15 days, which is nothing. It didn't have the pre-production schedule that it deserved either. But all of these actors got together and became really good friends on this movie. They're playing good friends together on screen, and it really creates this blurred line of how much of this is really acting and how much of this is just like straight up the chemistry that they developed. Really talking about this really makes me miss this era of comedy. And I'm sure you absolutely love this era of comedy as well. And, I'm a comedy movie director myself. The movies that I write and direct are in the vein of the early 21st century comedies, same style of humor, same overall goal of making raunchy but heartfelt films. And I want to make my third one this coming summer, but I can only really make it with your support. And I just recently launched a crowdfunding campaign for it, and I'm going to be including a link in the pinned comment and in the description that will get into all of the detail that there could be about this movie. I would really sincerely appreciate your support in making this film possible. But getting into the final reason of what makes The Hangover truly special, and this is something that is just so often neglected in comedy movies, like talking about this aspect of the filmmaking process and comedy movies, just like it feels weird because it's just not something that you associate with comedy movies. And, the director Todd Phillips, he often talks about his first movie, Road Trip. He talks about how that was shot like a sitcom. You can really tell that it bugs the hell out of him that the movie was shot that way. And I can relate as a filmmaker myself. My first two features were definitely shot like sitcoms. And that's something with the aforementioned pleasure list that I just teased with the crowdfunding campaign. Every movie going forward, I want to be on the same mission that Todd Phillips is on in shooting films and making them look like films. And so this final reason is the cinematography, and that really ties everything together and really makes this movie the masterpiece that it is. The movie is absolutely gorgeous. Like the shots of them driving on the expressway, the shots on the rooftop in around Vegas, like absolutely beautiful. But it really doesn't stop there. The visual storytelling in this movie is incredible. They do such an amazing job with the passage of time and just the overall nonverbal communication, whether it's the inside jokes between the friends or their growing fatigue of Alan and his antics, or, one of the biggest ones is the foreshadowing of what's to come when they wake up and it tells the story of what's going on in this hotel room. I would challenge you to watch one of your favorite comedy movies that isn't The Hangover and really focus in on the cinematography of that movie, and then watch The Hangover immediately afterwards and really focus on the cinematography. And I think you will be absolutely blown away at just how strong the cinematography in this movie is, but also how much the movie relies on the cinematography to actually tell the story. It's really amazing how subconsciously we observed the story, and so much of it came as a direct impact of the cinematography, but you just don't actually realize that. It's so underappreciated. But this movie ultimately has the level of cinematography of a Hollywood blockbuster, completely independent of any genre. And I just don't know how many other comedy movies you can actually say that about, if you can even name another comedy movie in which that statement's true about. And, it really comes together, all of these reasons, to give us something truly special in The Hangover. You love this movie. I love this movie. That's why we're here. So let's move on to 5 comedy movies that you will absolutely love because you love The Hangover here.